Crossout Experiment number 8. Rotate your goblins with Dangerously Incompetent. Short version of this video, you want to rotate your goblins so they're like this, with the barrel on the bottom and all this extra goblins on the top. Not like this, but you want it like this, because you'll be able to shoot up. You may have heard me say that with underslung goblins in builds like this one, shooting weapons on the top of vehicles and shooting hovers can be a bit tricky, because mounted underneath everything, the goblins don't have much elevation, they can't shoot up much. Well, a subscriber of mine pointed out that you can rotate goblins and thereby shoot up more. Thanks French Toad for the tip. When someone on the internet tells me something, I'm not one to just accept it as true, even if that person is a valued subscriber. So let's test this out. I've rotated some of my goblins, and you'll see the ones on the right, mouse button for firing, on the right of the vehicle when we got the driver's eye view, they're mounted with the barrels on the top, and the ones on the left are mounted with the barrels on the bottom. If we take a really close look at these goblins, we can clearly see that the barrel is indeed offset. And if we turn on the F button and look at the arcs of fire, you can just about see that the arc of fire changes as well, depending on the orientation of the goblin. The ones with the ones on the bottom, the field of fire is a bit higher here. I hope if you can make that out. It's quite difficult with all the bits of the goblin in the way, but it's definitely there. Let's try raising the elevation and see which set of goblins stop shooting first. Remember, the ones on the right are barrels on top, ones on the left are barrels on the bottom. Oh, the barrels on top can't go higher than that. They can shoot there, can't shoot there. Wow, seems fairly conclusive. Except the ones on the left are still shooting. They're not being stopped at all. But it looks like the shots aren't going any higher as I go up. And when I go there. Let's try something a bit more rigorous. Let's try shooting at my Leviathan, which isn't going to win any prizes in Invasion, but should suit our purposes. So just nudge forward. There we go. Right. Barrels on the top. On the right. How far up can we shoot? Oh, can we just go? No, we can't get that one. Right. Barrels on the left, which is goblins on the left rather, which is barrels on the bottom. Up in that one. Aha! Aha! We can still shoot, but it looks like the shots are passing behind. So one peg higher. So definitely the barrels on the bottom can shoot up more than the barrels on the top. Except I've thrown you a bit of a googly. Remember how the barrels on the top stopped shooting long before the barrels on the bottom, which carried on shooting, but then they seemed to hit the maximum elevation of their shooting, but carried on shooting as I raised the elevation even further? That's because I've piled stuff on top of my goblins. So really for the test we should strip this stuff off. And now we've got the goblins, you can see the arcs of fire, there's nothing on this part covering it up and blocking their field of fire. Now with the goblins uncovered, let's try raising our firing angle again. So that was about where the barrels on top stopped firing, but they're still happily firing, We seem to have reached max elevation of the actual shot. It's just about hitting the hangar lintel on the doorway, but I can still carry on raising my elevation, and both sets of goblins, both barrel on top and barrel on the bottom, are still shooting. Now let's take these naked goblins out on the range, see what difference it makes. Let's gently pull up to the bumper. Right. Now before, covered goblins with barrels on the top could shoot the bottom and the second. They couldn't shoot the third, but they can now. And can we get the fourth? No. The barrels, uncovered goblins, barrels on the bottom. The third is what they could manage before. Can't quite get the fourth. So it looks like there's no difference. But let's go back a bit further so the difference will be exaggerated. Can I shoot my extra fine graduation for the testing? Let's get a bit further back. There we go. So that's as high as uncovered barrel on the bottom can go. Barrel on the top. Can it get them? Can also get that high. So basically, if there is a difference in the elevation you can manage with the uncovered goblins, it's small. The difference is smaller than the graduations in my test result. And so, practically speaking, in a battle, there's no difference at all rotating your uncovered goblins. However, in battle, most goblins aren't naked. They usually have stuff piled on the top, especially if it's an underslung goblin sort of a build like this one. At which point it becomes very worthwhile rotating your goblins so that the barrel, get back in there, is on the bottom. And therefore, you can shoot up. Your elevation, maximum elevation, is increased significantly. Right. I'm coming for you, hovers. I'll get you yet. See if I don't.